Hello everybody and welcome to week one of me documenting my progress of undertaking every single beginner's Python course on the internet. So this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-part series at minimum. And essentially I've done a bit of Googling and found all the recommended courses and for learning Python as a beginner, and I've saved them all, and I'm going to do them all by one and work out what the best one is, because when I came to actually try to teach myself, there's no tier list or anything like this, which is a bit strange. So I thought I'd do them all, and then that way someone in a similar position at the end of this will be able to find a tier list and can go from there. So week one has been, well, it's about week one, week two. I've tried to do perhaps something 20 minutes minimum, trying not to get carried away at an hour max every day for the past, I'm not sure how many days. Maybe it will let us see this. Okay, so sorry, I should explain what we're looking at. What we're looking at here is I've worked out how to do a GitHub repository. So if I go into this, the step one was, and apologies for the chaos, step one was learning about all of these buttons and what they do. And essentially for Python, and from what I understand other codes, you have this repository. So I've written notes about this actually. These videos will definitely get better, and I'll go in with some sort of script, but here we go. So you have your main branch, which at the moment I'm not in, so I'm in my separate branch, but the concepts of coding as I understand at the moment is you have your main branch, and that's the software that is released, so like Windows 11 or what have you. You then have the developers. This is sort of the next level that people actually see. So they will take a copy of the master code. Sorry, master is old terminology. It's now called main. They'll take a copy of this, and all the development teams will work off that branch, and they'll develop a feature. So for example, an invisible taskbar for Windows 11. They will then push this back up to the develop level, and it's the job of the teams to talk, and if they're writing conflicting code to regularly sync from this develop tree, get pushed from the develop branch up to the release branch. So there'll be a check here from a senior engineer, and then check here, and then if everything's tickety-boo, it goes up to the main, and maybe Windows 11 was, yeah, and then we get Windows 12 after they've captured as many features as they want. If there is a bug, it sort of skips all of this. So they released Windows 12 and realized that the invisible taskbar can't be clicked on. So they then go up to hotfixes, and that's its own quick development cycle and comes back down to main. And then that also gets pushed down to, I believe, the develop branch, something like this, so that all the people working on the new features will then get the latest set of code that has this fix at the taskbar, for example. So week one has been learning about this. So I've got a setup GitHub and Copilot, which I've not used tons. I've turned it off at the moment, 8.7%, because I want to learn, and obviously AI being as powerful as it is, it sort of can steal some of that learning. So this was the first stage, and this was learning how to create new code. So my hello world script, which keeps turning back into plain text for some reason, but that's neither here nor there. So we were, yes, learning how to create new branches and adhere to the proper coding process as if we were, or I was, a developer. So I've also worked out that, well, I say worked out, found, yeah, if you want to work on something sort of outside of that current coding tree on GitHub, you can come out of the main branch with this detach function and get back into it with checkout, which seems like a funny name to get back in, but There we are. The reason that I'm showing this is that I'd like to become confident enough in what I'm doing, or at least following the tutorial sort of well enough, and that my notes are understandable enough. So week 1, I started with learnpython.org. That looks like, is that the right one? Yes, here it is. So there's something about teaching your kids how to code, which I don't know if that sort of undermines my learning experience, and at the moment I think I'm down to, I must be at string formatting, which they use this, the old percentage, which apparently using f prints is the new trendy thing to do. So I'm slowly working through this, and as you'll see in the code here, we're back in Python, perfect. So I am letting myself get carried away with the code, and to address sort of general notes and things that perhaps aren't relevant to the lesson but are more of a global note or something to consider, I've got this 1.0, and well, there's not one on this, but this 1.0 document is more for, potentially I should have had that logging off thing in one for 0.0, but I don't have a file for it really. But this notes for tomorrow, so that needs to come out. This has got general bits and pieces, and I'll probably try a sort of control F sort of approach to go through these notes. The other thing worth mentioning is that I got a plugin called GitGraph, which is really cool, and it tracks all of this Git stuff. And I'm imagining for what I'm doing, it's not that important at the moment, but it's nice to see it like this. So this is my 1.5 branch. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate all the precious learning I've been doing, and hopefully, yeah, there was some good advice that I was given, that if you've truly learned something, you can actually teach it to other people. And you know, when you can teach something to a 2-year-old, you have to have a very robust, a good grasp of it. So I'd like to get to that point that not only am I learning, but I'm also sharing what I've learnt, and then that way potentially it will get critiqued, but it makes you reformat it in your brain to be able to share it. And I think that's a really useful process for learning. First, we're going to stage our changes. So this is because I've just added a load of these thingies, and those are just to show the bits of code that I've used this a couple of times, and I wanted it so that I didn't have to keep Googling it each time. What have we got here? So this one, oh, I think this is just a new document, and that's what I believe these, so M is modified, U untracked, so I think it's new. So we have to stage both of these like this, or you can just click the 1+. Then if you don't put a note, I've found that you sometimes get errors. So adding, so 1.5 and 1.5, tweaking 0.5. And then we press commit. So now we've got the option to publish this branch. However, we're on our 1.5. We want to publish it to GitHub, which is on our main branch. So the hack that I found is you click here, scroll down, and you find, so this was sort of a learning process, but now we click on our, so you've got, I think these are local repositories. I've got a note somewhere, and these aren't called global as I've learned. These are remote repositories or remote repos. So that's my GitHub repo. That apparently has got a cross, so that's something. Then what we want to do is we want to merge our changes. So the way you do that is you click these 3 things, and then you go on your branch, merge. This is where we just committed all those changes. So saying we've got one change, but now this is uncrossed, and I'm sure if I looked at this graph or something like this, is this useful? Not really. To be honest, I've not looked at the graph to work out what's happening all that much. But this is now saying push one commit onto origin/main branch. So if we go back to this, we can see if we just give this a quick refresh. So in our Learn Python, at the moment, we're down to 1.4. So let me go back to this. And if we sync and we go syncing on 1.5, whatever it is, there we go. Sync, that's fine. That should be pretty rapid. And then if we go back onto Chrome, refresh, there we go.